everybody, welcome back to Jessica's Reading Room. My name is Kim and we are here for another book to film comparison video. Now I feel really bad because I've been promising you guys this video for like 3 months now, and so it's just, life has been really weird lately, okay? I'm just going to admit it. I'm just gonna say that, you know what, it's just been odd, okay? These last couple months, they've just been odd months. So I will admit that I am totally behind on my videos. I'm behind on my reviews, okay? Which that's pretty normal. But still, this part is, okay? So I'm so sorry that it has taken this long to get this video to you. But now that we're here, let's just go ahead and get straight into it. It's going to be awesome. And yes, we are going to be talking about Stephen King and his book, Misery. And yes, the fabulous movie, Misery, starring Kathy Bates and James Caan. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to tell you right now, okay, that this is not one of those videos where I'm going to sit here and I'm totally going to bash the movie because, oh my gosh, why does Hollywood do this? Why do they make these book to film adaptations and then they screw it up? I'm not saying that in this case. I'm just going to start out by telling you right off that I adore this film. Make sure that I can get it to where it's not all glary. There we go. I adore this film so much because this is one of those cases where I actually watched the movie before I read the book and I loved it. I mean, and you know, I'm not even ashamed to say it because this is one of those movies that my mom watches and enjoys, but then later has to say, well, I didn't like that movie because of that one scene because it was just really scary and really gross. Because that's just kind of the person that my mom is. She says the same thing about The Wrath of Khan. You know, it's just, I don't know. But she actually really likes this movie too. And so I've seen this movie before. Then I was on my Stephen King kick and I was like, you know what? This is considered to be one of his classics. So let's go ahead and read it. And I did. And oh my gosh, as if I couldn't love the movie more, I actually like the movie even more now that I've read the book. So let's just go straight into the comparison. Just remember, I am not in any way criticizing the movie. That's not what I'm doing. Kathy Bates and James Caan both won several awards for this movie. I'm not sure if it won Best Picture or not, because I know Kathy Bates won an Oscar for it, and I'm pretty sure they both won Golden Globes for this, but I'm not sure if it won Best Picture. So please forgive me if you know that. Tell me down in the comments. That would be great. So let's just start out and go straight into the comparison. And it's kind of my main point because in this case, thankfully, it's one of those situations where I don't have to sit here and criticize. So there's really not a lot to say except for this one main point. And that is the character of Annie Wilkes. Honestly, to me, that is the biggest difference. And I'm going to put these down because it's driving me nuts because I feel like I'm like glaring on the screen. So, yeah, whatever to make it easier for you guys to watch. Okay. So, all right. Anyway, so for me, the main difference between the book and the movie was the character Annie Wilkes. Now, when I watched the movie, you know, you get all, you know, freaked out because, you know, this lady, spoilers. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to assume that since you're watching this video that you've either read the book or seen the movie. So I'm just going to, spoilers. If you haven't read or watched, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. Okay. So just got it. Okay, good. Anyway, so the movie, you've got this nice lady who ends up rescuing this best-selling author from a car accident in a snowstorm, and she takes him back to her house and she nurses him back to health. But then you start seeing some weird things, you know, her, you know, normal person veneer starts cracking. You know, he starts suspecting that just maybe there's something wrong with her. And then she starts losing control and starts letting that psycho crazy person come out. So then he's got to figure out how to escape from his number one fan. That's kind of the way the entire movie was. You know, you have these periods where Annie Wilkes acts like a perfectly normal, fully functioning member of society. You know, she was a nurse. You know, she even admits that she does have some weird aspects to her. And listen, as a book nerd, when she says, well, you know, the whole reason that I was able to save you like I did was because sometimes I'll just get in my truck and I'll, you know, drive up to the lodge that you're staying at, and I'll, you know, look at the light on in your window and just wonder about the brilliance that's being, you know, written in the room. I mean, let's be honest here. We are book nerds, and that really doesn't sound that creepy. I mean, she never bothered him. She never showed up at his, you know, she never actually showed up at his door. She never sent him anything. She was just feeling lonely. She knew her favorite author was there. So she just went out and sat there and was trying to appreciate the brilliance that was being put down on paper by her favorite author. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, that Annie Wilkes, she's a weirdo. I mean, let's be fair. That's the kind of stuff that we would all find ourselves doing if given the opportunity. So, okay. If that makes me sound weird, it makes everyone, oh my gosh, Kim, she's an Annie Wilkes type. You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Anyway, so, you know, she comes off as being mostly normal with a few weird tendencies. Okay. But then all of a sudden, like I said, she starts losing control. She starts not being able to hold that normal mask up in front of her, and you start seeing the mental illness peek through. You start seeing, you know, her murderous tendencies, her obsessive behavior come through. And so I was like, okay, because in my mind, the movie, it's almost this Criminal Minds, you know, mental illness. Well, no, I'm sorry, not even Criminal Minds, excuse me. I'm sorry, forgive me. That's actually what I was saving for the book. Okay. It's a mental illness story. That's what the movie feels like to me. Then I read the book. And I was actually really surprised that the portrayal of one of the main characters would end up being that different. And like I said, whereas the movie seems like a, you know, fictional expose on mental illness, the book actually feels more like a Criminal Minds episode. And in the book, Annie Wilkes, she doesn't really try to hide what she is. She doesn't lose control. She is in control almost the entire story. She is completely aware of what she is doing. She doesn't even try to hide the fact that she's not a completely, you know, normal, fully functioning member of society. She is just an obsessive psycho who is in perfect control. And I was really shocked at that because in the movie, there's this part of me that kind of feels sorry for Annie Wilkes. You know, her husband left her. You know, oh my gosh, there was legal action taken against her while she was living in Denver. You know, talking about how, you know, she first found the misery books when she was working night shifts that are, you know, very lonely at the hospital. And so you just kind of sit there and like, aw, you know, maybe, you know, with a life like that, with someone who already seems to have a predilection for mental illness, you know, is it really any wonder that she would snap when coming face to face with her favorite author, and then him killing off her favorite book character ever? Whereas then you read the book where she's been killing people all this time. She is completely aware that she has been killing people. She is perfectly aware the reasons why she kills people. Oh my gosh, she gets this opportunity to have the author of her favorite books in her home. He kills off her favorite character, and she responds exactly the same way that she has always responded when stuff doesn't go her way, and she doesn't even try to hide it. She is calculating, in perfect control the whole time. And so I'm sitting here reading this book going, oh my gosh, she is flippin' terrifying. I mean, it fascinates me that you can have the same plot, you can have the same storyline, you can have the same almost point for point plot line happening, but yet the interpretation of one character can change everything so much. I mean, whoa! And considering Kathy Bates's, okay, I don't know, Kathy's performance as Annie Wilkes, I mean, like I said, you get those glimpses of her losing control, and she's terrifying. That part when she finishes reading his last book where he kills off Misery, and he wakes up and she's standing there stone-faced, and you killed her. I mean, it's terrifying. But then you read the book, and the entire thing, you don't ever lose that sense of terror because you are completely aware of what Annie Wilkes is, because she doesn't try and hide it. And it just... So I will say, bravo to Stephen King for creating a character like that again, keeps that level of terror, way up here. And you spend the whole book just terrified of Annie Wilkes. And but then you also have to say bravo to the movie makers for taking a character like that and just kind of tweaking just a little bit, and she becomes almost a completely different character. And it just, I was really impressed. I mean, it's almost different enough to where they can't really be compared. And you know how I've said that I love book to film adaptations where they take kind of the main ideas and then they change it, and to where you almost get a completely different story, as opposed to changing little tiny details in order to improve the story. In this case, it's amazing that changing just a few little things can completely change the entire story. So, I mean, that is my main point when it comes to the differences between the book and the movie. Now, are there some minor things? Yes. Because Annie Wilkes she's two different characters, that means that Paul Sheldon is also different in both. In the movie, it's far more passive victim. It takes him a while to figure out exactly, who Annie Wilkes is, what her problems are, what kind of situation he has found himself in, versus the book. Oh my gosh, you guys. I've only had one cup of coffee today, okay? And I went to the gym, so this was just it. Anyway, versus the book where he and Annie are on more equal footing. He takes a far more aggressive stance in his response to her. And I mean, I guess the best way I would compare, point out the differences is that in the movie, it's definitely it's definitely more victim, you know, abductor victim type situation versus the book where it's far more protagonist antagonist situation, where they're on more equal footing, where you know, Sheldon is far more opposite of Annie as opposed to Annie Paul Sheldon like we have in the movie, if that makes sense. And I mean, and listen, I completely acknowledge that we're talking about very fine lines here. The difference is they're very fine. And, you know, if you're not sitting here contemplating and pondering it, it's not something that sticks out like, oh my gosh, differences. If you know what I'm saying. Hopefully you guys are understanding. I would assume that for those of you who have been watching this channel for a while, you're picking up on the brainwaves that I send out to you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Hopefully it does. And I mean, of course, in the movie, you're going to have certain details that that are not able to be brought over from the book simply because of time. You know, I know that all of us book nerds, we all want to go and sit in, 6, 7, 8 hour movies that get all those tiny little details and get all the little nuances that you have in the book. And I get that that's not realistic. I understand that. And I mean, it's those kind of omissions that I'm okay with. Is it sad to see? Yes, because you're never going to be able to watch a movie and get the full picture like you do with the book. I acknowledge that. It's just reality. That's just the way it is. And I mean, it's sad, but I'm okay with it. It's okay. In the movie, obviously, we don't get to see nearly as much about Annie's background, talking about the death of her father, talking about her time in nursing school with the death of her roommate, her becoming a nurse, moving from hospital to hospital, the deaths that follow her as she goes. When she's being held, being taken to trial for this, we get glimpses of it, but unfortunately in the movie, we don't get the full picture, which really sucks. We also don't get to see nearly as much from the Misery books in the movie as we do the book, which I found kind of fascinating. I was not expecting to see nearly as much of the actual Misery story in the book, because I wasn't expecting it. I mean, we're talking about, books within a book, and I was just surprised. Now, did I enjoy them? Yes. Is there a part of me that kind of wishes that Stephen King would write the Misery series as Paul Sheldon? Well, sure, I'd probably read it. I'm okay with that. But it was nice to see it. It kind of rounded the story out really well, so where you could actually see, the source of Annie Wilkes' obsession. So I wasn't mad at it. I was good with it, but in the movie, again, you weren't going to be able to get nearly as much with that. So I'm chill with it. I'm good with it. That's, again, like I said, it's those kinds of changes that I'm okay with, if nothing else than just to save time. It sucks, but it's just the way it is in reality, which is why we're book nerds, because we escape reality, so go read a book. If it bothers you, go read a book. There you go. Okay, so there we go. There is my comparison. I'm sure, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sure that I probably missed a lot of other things that, those of you who are huge Stephen King fans, I'm sure you all have read the books. You've, read the books multiple times, watched the movie multiple times, and you have this down to a science. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Those of you who have both read the book and watched the movie, I would love, love, love to hear your opinions on this. Obviously, I am just one person, and I mean, technically, we're trying to keep this in a 20-minute video. So I'm not going to be able to talk about every little thing, but I would love to hear your opinions, your thoughts about this, so make sure you say something down in the comments. Oh, we're supposed to say, I really, you know what? I think we might have to change the format of this, because this is one of those examples where if you're a book nerd, you should be watching it and reading it. So, but that, again, but on our, you know, this format that we've set up, that means that the movie is a failure. And I don't want to say that. So we're going to have to rethink this. If you're not a book nerd and you watch the movie, then you know what? You know, you got the story, you got the plot points. Now, would it be interesting for you to read the book and catch all those, you know, subtle little differences? Yes, it would. But I'd say that as a film adaptation of a book, Misery, they did a great job. I love it. I would highly suggest both the book and the movie to pretty much anybody. Obviously, age appropriateness. Remember that, okay? Because this movie is rated R. So be aware. So there you go. Like I said, I would love to hear your opinions down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any suggestions for book to film that you would like us to look into, make sure you tell us down in the comments. And I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.